Hey everybody, it's A-Spec here, and let's face it, built-in PC speakers, like this system on this Microsoft Surface Pro 3, kinda stink. And with that in mind, here's my review, a Stirlingite's perspective on the Logitech Z623 dedicated THX-certified 2.1 multimedia speaker system. It is pretty awesome for the $80 I paid for it. So at that, let's start with the satellite speakers. The satellite speakers, it's a 2.5-inch driver. It handles mid-range and high frequencies from about 250 Hz to about 20,000 Hz. And there's a THX logo on the top, but keep in mind that logo does not conceal the tweeter underneath. There's just a shiny little phase plug in the center of the speaker, which is designed to increase its high frequency response. And as for controls, they're fairly simple. You got a volume knob, a bass knob, which actually is a subwoofer output control, and a power button. Now, moving on to the subwoofer, it's an 8-inch driver with a port and reflex enclosure. I actually have the port angled towards my desk, and it's out maybe a couple inches from my desk to minimize distortion and minimize the amount of rattle it would transfer to my desk. If it were directly up against my desk, it would introduce distortion and rattling that I wouldn't want. Might be a bit hard to see, but on the back of the subwoofer, you've got your standard headphone jack input as well as an RCA input and a proprietary serial out cable to the right satellite speaker. And as far as sound quality goes, I've pulled up Fade by Alan Walker on YouTube. And with my adjustments done to tune this to my room, it sounds great, actually. The frequency response is pretty comparable to my personal Grado SR60E reference headphones. So, bass, it's there, it's punchy, it's not overwhelming. But when we move into the stock tune, the way most people are going to listen to this without any tuning, this happens. So the bass just gets all muddled and distorted, and not distorted, but it just gets really, really bass heavy. I guess it's great for movies, seeing the THX certification, but it's just not too great for music in its stock tune. Yeah, just bass turns into rumbling. Yeah, it makes bass really heavy. Let's wait for the drop. Yeah, the mids are just recessed, and it doesn't have a lot of mid-range or high-range in its stock tuning. Like, it's there, it doesn't sound bad, but it's just bass heavy. Yeah. Here's stock tune. Here's my tune. Stock tune. It does sound a little bit more detailed in its stock tune, but the bass just somewhat overwhelms. There's the stock. Here's a tune I made. Stock. Tune I made. Alright, let's go over to something different. Here's Shadows. Here's Shadows from Lindsey Stirling on YouTube. Yeah, it just sounds really bass heavy in its stock tune. It's great. Like, I can feel it. I can feel the sound. Like, from a non-audiophile Stirlingite, I guess this would be a nice system in its stock tune. But like, with me, I'm an audiophile, so let's just switch over to the stock tune and switch over to the tune I made and just enjoy the THX system in all its glory. And Shadows isn't a bad song. Of course, coming from Stirlingite. Yeah, that's better. You might notice it's, to an untrained ear, it sounds like it's a little recessed. Like, the highs just go away. But it doesn't sound like that to me. It sounds really balanced in this tune, the tune I made. Yeah, that thumping bass line, like, in the stock tune, it thumps extremely hard. You can't get away from it, like, yeah. And then Lindsey's violin just gets taken over by the bass. Yeah, switch it to the tune I made, the reference tune, and you can really hear her violin. It comes out. It's Lindsey as she's made to be heard. Yeah. And this still has plenty of punchy bass, but it's not as overwhelming as the stock tune. Not nearly as overwhelming. So let's crank this and do something a THX sound system was always made to reproduce faithfully: Star Wars. Turn the tuning off. It sounds good for movies with the stock tuning. Like, yeah, there's a lot of bass. Like, it sounds like you would hear it in a theater. Let's turn the tune on. And you can hear the voices so much better now. It's like, there's not quite as much overwhelming bass. Alright, here is the stock tune.
We won't have long.
And like, on the whole, I've enjoyed these speakers. Yeah, they're really good. And I've discovered, actually, since I began listening to Lindsey on these speakers, it's a really good, like, Stirlingite experience. And, like, I have learned to actually tune other audio systems to be accurate based on the input I've received from playing songs that I know and love on these. Like, I really enjoy this system. Yeah, with tuning, with the tune that I have set up, it sounds insanely good. It's like having a cinema in my bedroom, thanks to its THX certification. Yeah, it goes deep, it faithfully reproduces Lindsey Stirling, it faithfully reproduces almost anything, like anything I can throw at this thing. It reproduces with, like, very natural, very flat frequency response, like I've tuned it, and it just sounds phenomenal if you tune it right. If you don't tune it right, sure, it'll sound a little bit muddy, it has a little bit too much bass for accurate reproduction. The mids are a little bit recessed as far as the stock tune goes, but I guess it would sound good to most people in its stock form. But it just doesn't satisfy me as an audiophile and Stirlingite in its stock form, so I just created this tune for it. Get a Logitech Z623 and enjoy the THX, my fellow Stirlingites. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments, And this is A-Spec, the Stirlingite, signing out.